Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Gimme the Check podcast. I am your host, Fredy V. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Do you guys remember that show back in the day on BET? Y'all remember Rap City on BET? Like, I grew up with that. That was a very important part of my upbringing. Big Tigger in the basement was bringing MCs, spitting bars, freestyling. And every week you would just watch every day. We would rush home to see who was on. And then I moved to Montreal and I saw a gentleman on screen who was doing just such an important job in that era, which was called the VJ, the video jockey. This guy is a staple in Quebec's black music culture and black entertainment culture. He is an accomplished media personality, an entrepreneur. He has a list of amazing celebrities that he has interviewed, including Kanye West, Beyonce, Eminem, and Jay-Z. Today, you can hear him every morning as a host of Virgin Mornings on Virgin Montreal. Ladies and gentlemen, this dude is an urban legend in the city. And I'm so happy that the interviewer has decided to be interviewed. Thank you so much for joining us. Please show your love for the one and only Malik Shaheed. What's up, man? Oh my God, thank you so much.
Build 'em, baby.
Man.
Show me the check.
Man. It's coming. You know what I'm saying? I'm an artist, entrepreneur. I'm building up today. But
right.
yo, bro, like I said, the interviewer decided to be interviewed. And it means so much for you to come here because, like I say, when I came to Montreal, it was you that I saw. And I've been in the music game. I've been in front of the scenes. I've been behind the scenes. And now I'm kind of stepping into this space and I've been studying you. And I'm a student of the game and I've been doing my homework. So first of all, I want to say thank you for just all of the work that you've put into the city. How you've dedicated yourself to the culture, the example that you're giving to these youths, and just for picking up the phone and hollering at me and just be like, yeah, sure, bro, I see what you're trying to do. I hear the passion in your voice. I hear what you know what I'm saying, and I'm going to be there for you. So for somebody who has so much experience in this field that I'm just stepping into in the arena of black music and culture, it means a lot. So thank you so much for coming through, man.
Appreciate it.
Yo.
Man.
So let's get it popping, man. Like, I don't, like we've crossed each other this last few years, but we don't know each other. I need to get the beginning story of where it all started. You are Montreal bred through and through, but I believe you have Little Burgundy roots, right?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Little Burgundy. So Little Burgundy is the mecca of black culture in Montreal. That's where the first blacks really settles, the first black community. It's the first black community center. From the NCC, which is a Negro Community Center, grew the NDG Community Center, the Côte-de-Neige Community Center, the South Shore Community Centers in RDP, Saint Michel. It all started in Burgundy. You know what I mean? So it's, Oliver Jones, he grew up in Burgundy. Mrs. Sweeney from Burgundy. Oscar Peterson, Little Burgundy. You know what I mean? Sammy Davis Jr. went to school at Royal Arthur in Little Burgundy.
What?
Yeah. So Little Burgundy, and then all the DJs, like, Flash, The Wizard of Oz, they're all from Burgundy. And Burgundy really inspired the rest of Montreal. So that was the hub of black culture. You know what I mean? That was a real black neighborhood.
Man, oh man, because it's funny, man. Like, like I said, I immigrated to Montreal, and I've lived in a lot of neighborhoods, and today I live in Little Burgundy.
Oh, yeah, where?
Yeah. I sip my coffee every single morning watching where the Negro Community Center used to be.
Oh, wow.
That's my balcony right there.
Crazy. Okay, I know where you live. I know where you live.
And bro, it's so funny. And we saw each other again, and we broke bread at the march. You know what I'm saying? They took it from Square Phillips all the way to Oscar Peterson Park. That's right. And then I saw it was happening, and Kim Richardson was texting me. She was like, "Where you at, boo boo?" I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know." Okay, cool. Are y'all there? I was like, "Y'all coming here? Oh, y'all coming to the hood? Okay, cool. I'll meet y'all there." And I got to meet Thierry Lindor, and I got to meet KK, and we spoke and we broke bread, and I started hearing the history of everything that was going on, and I moved there maybe a couple of years after it had been taken down.
Okay.
And during that time, I took a leap of faith. I quit my job. I produced my album, and I would just write my album late night until sunrise, like in my little creative space. And I would always look out on the balcony and go right back and forth on the balcony. And I always felt a vibe. I always felt a vibe. And it was just like, yo. And then it all came to me that day. I was like, hold up. Did I write my album on the block that Oliver Jones and Oscar Peterson learned how to play?
That's right. Miss Sweeney taught them.
My God, man. Like, when that all came to me, I was just like, I don't know. It kind of just, in a mystic way, my purpose got stronger in this city as a black creative, as a black artist, as a black musician that has media aspirations and being able to own our narrative and own our story, man. And so I want to thank you for that, because y'all just blew my mind that day, man.
Yeah, Burgundy special. Shout out to Little Burgundy. We
Man,
love you.
More, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So, like, when you were coming up in Burgundy, what were some of your experiences with music? Were you doing certain activities that was just like, yeah, I'm gonna be in entertainment business, like I'm gonna be around, like what was some of your first encounters with it?
So not really. Grew up in Burgundy. It was very sports driven. So we played hockey. We played baseball. We played. Those are the main sports. So hockey and baseball. And what was unique is that we had mixed teams. So it was mixed with francophones. It was mixed with Irish people. It was mixed with black people. So it was very unique to see black hockey teams, you know what I mean, on the ice. And we were great. I mean, there were some players out of there that if it wasn't for racism, they would be in the NHL, no doubt. You know what I mean? But the racism was just too much, and, you know, they couldn't take it to that level. And so music was always around Little Burgundy because, again, as I said, you know, guys like Oscar Peterson, Mrs. Sweeney, they had an influence. But then you had the DJs. So you had Fabian Kicking Ash. You had Dr. Jam, rest in peace. You had the Wizard of Oz. You had Calvin. So a whole bunch of different DJ crews. You had Prince Charles. So they always played music. And Burgundy was very connected to New York.
Right.
So people from Burgundy would always get the music first. And then people from the other neighborhoods would come to Burgundy and get the music and get to know what was hot back then. You know what I mean? So Burgundy was really special, and it was a hub for music, because also you got to remember, before I was born, you had a lot of clubs that were in Burgundy, you know, like Rockheads and other clubs that brought down famous people from the U.S. to Little Burgundy. So Burgundy always had a history of music.
Yep.
And that I was always exposed to that.
Amazing, amazing. So can you like talk to me a bit more about, because that's something too that I'm still trying to grasp about Montreal culture. Montreal seems to have a very deep DJ culture, a very deep Caribbean culture, a very deep, and me, I know that, you know, it's so cool to talk to you about this because I can talk to you about real Burgundy shit, but like, you know, like about twice a summer, man, like the block just pops off. And band starts at 6 p.m. and the music is so good. These DJs are spinning, and man, it's like all the way till midnight, and the kids are out, and food's being given. So, and that's how I'm, in the last couple of years, I've come out in the neighborhood. I've been able to ingratiate myself with the neighborhood and introducing us. And oh, yo, come here, brother. How you do? Oh, you around here? You live here? Things like that. So, when you were growing up, did you have events like that? What were those events like? You know what I'm saying, in terms of like in a park and DJs and all family oriented. Like.
So I would say Burgundy was a family. So you had a lot of major families, and all the families knew each other. So you were like a son to whoever. And if you were doing something bad, you were getting called out as if it was your mother or father calling you out. You know what I mean? Definitely. But I would say back then, the big music scene, they had these things called blockouts, or outdoor parties. So they had the outdoor parties in places like Cotonage and NDG. It was crazy. It was wild. I mean, people from all over the city would come to those parties, but it was like, it was rough because, you know, a lot of times there was, you know what I mean?
Tell it.
Tension.
Tell it.
You know what I mean? So you had to always be aware of what was going on.
Yeah, for sure. Because, you know, that's I think there's a part of the culture that the non, I'll be real, like the non-black Montrealers that are born and raised here, you know, we kind of discover that afterwards. You know, me, I came up here, and then afterwards I kind of heard about it, and I was like, but when people broke it down to me, I was like, yo, the block is hot.
Yeah. The block was definitely
The
hot.
block was hot, yo. You know what I'm saying? So in order to be able to, how you had to kind of keep your head on a swivel, as they say, when you're going through those parties and you're partaking in the culture, but it came at a risk, and Montreal was no different than any other major city in North America in that sense.
A lot of fallen soldiers, you know, rest in peace to them, and a lot of victims, you know, and bless their soul also.
No doubt, man. That's definitely, you know, something in our culture that we've seen on the come up, and we're blessed to be here as we improve these communities and hope that, you know, our children don't have to go through some of the stuff that we went through, you know what I mean, to get there. So you're coming up, and I kind of want to know, because I know Malik Shaheed, a Burgundy staple. I know Malik Shaheed, the VJ. You know what I'm saying? A music producer. I came and I saw you automatically on TV. What happened in between those two times, and what took you from the little Burgundy sports experience and all that come up to landing in like the early 2000s on an urban show? In like, I mean, I can't imagine the barriers that you must have broken by doing that. How did you end up there?
You know, at the end of the day, it's hard work. It's people believing in you. It's not being afraid to take that leap. So what happened was a guy named Ricky D, who's a very popular promoter.
Shout out to Ricky D.
Shout out to Ricky D. Took me under his wing and brought me along and showed me the ropes as a promoter. You know what I mean? And we were doing a lot of parties, great parties, but you know, I was trying to look for something different to promote the parties. So I would go to Bouge de la at Music Plus, which was a dance show.
Okay.
And I'd bring the flyer up there, ask the VJ, can you please promote my parties? And I kept on coming up there, and then one day the music director, you know, says to me, hey, I want to speak with you. I said, no problem. I think I'm in trouble now. So he says to me, you know, each time you come up here, you bring a cool energy, you have cool people around you. You know, I'm looking for a dance coordinator. Malik don't know nothing about dance, right? Malik don't know nothing about dance.
But what did you tell him when he asked you?
Not a problem.
My man.
I'm going to do it.
Damn right.
Because I was connecting to the clubs, right?
Exactly.
So I was able to go in the clubs for free, take all the dancers, bring them to that show, and blow that show up. And then from there, the hip hop show came about. So Abe was she was the first host for the hip hop show, and I was a researcher for the hip hop show because it needed a researcher. So that was easy for me to research.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then after that, the R&B show came. So people like Marilyn Flack, shout out to her, Isabel Rasico, and other people, I had referred them to come and audition. These are beautiful black women. I know they can get down and do the R&B. So they picked Marilyn. So she became the face of urban music at Music Plus. And then from there, I became a coordinator. So I went from a dance coordinator to a research on the hip hop show to a coordinator. And then once, you know, Abe left and Marilyn left, you know what I mean? They would ask me, you know, a couple of times, you know, hey, we have Wyclef in town. You know, can you do an interview with Wyclef? But I knew Wyclef from before. So when I did the interview, the energy was intense. They never seen something like that before. You know what I mean? So, you know, it started from there, and they just appreciated my hard work, my effort. And then plus, I was always the community guy. So at the time, I was working at the YMCA Point St. Charles, you know, on the YMCA Dupac. I was doing things with kids. So I always bring in the community aspect of doing things. So I would create tours. Like I did a tour with Health Canada called Tournée contre la toxicomanie, so non-smoking tour. So we were touring across Quebec. So because I was a promoter, it was easy for me to produce tours and shows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then from there, I did stay in school tours in different high schools. And then I did Mardi Gras Fiesta tours with me and my DJ, touring around little cities across Quebec.
Got it.
So for me, I understood that none of the VJs wanted to travel outside of Montreal. Me, I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to les banlieues, les régions. I'm going to meet my fans. And when we came to that city, we were welcomed like superstars. It was crazy because they weren't used to people from Montreal with our swag coming to those cities and rocking the clubs. So I was hosting it, but I was bringing that like franglais, American, francophone swag. They never seen that before.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. It was a blast.
That's so dope. And I'm so glad that like you kind of you really told it, because I'm sure that there's some people that have seen you, but they're like, yeah, Malik Shaheed, like Music Plus, VJs. But you gave the come up story.
Yeah.
You gave that you stepped and you had your foot in the door, but you didn't start just right. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, and I think this generation, sometimes we just see the microwave. We see how people get there. And this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast right now. It's for me, what you just said, that reminds me of like an NBA coach. When you see a Greg Popovich, or you see a Stan Van Gundy, or those guys, or even like a Brad Stevens, the young guys, you know what I'm saying, and whatnot. Where did they start out? Researcher, video coordinator, analysis, gaining trust of the people, showing them I know my craft, I know my job. Like you said, I can research. I know everybody in this joint. You know what I'm saying? And being a trusted source and a trusted resource as you prove and you pay your dues and get up. And then so people see, so people see Malik Shaheed, but maybe a lot of people didn't know about the work that you put in at that place to get there. There were people there before you that paid, and then and you're standing on their shoulders as some of us are standing on your shoulders today, and it's gonna keep on moving. So thank you for saying that, because it's like, yeah, like I think a lot of these youth need to see the come up. You know what I'm saying? People think that they can skip steps and jump on mine. Some people do, you know what I'm saying? And if that's your route, that's your route. But it's really important to see, people who have gotten to this position, the steps that they have taken. It's not magic. You know what I'm saying? This is people putting in the work and the time, yo. Appreciate that, man.
I really started from the bottom, because before Music Plus, promoting parties was standing outside clubs at 3:00 in the morning handing out flyers.
Woo, chap.
You know what I mean? So I was out there winter, summer, spring, fall, handing out flyers, driving my bike across the city. You know what I mean? Really connecting with people.
Tell it,
You know
man.
what I mean? So it's a hustle. You know what I mean? And people today, they're lazy. They don't want to hustle.
Yeah,
they're
man.
not hungry.
Yeah.
This is why I'm still able to do what I do today, because I'm hungry. I'm still hungry.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
I see it. I love it, man. That's so
You gotta
dope.
be hungry.
Damn. So you finally get the position. And you said even before you were interviewing Wyclef, and you brought that certain energy, and you got the chance to interview some of the biggest luminaries and celebrities in the world, the biggest hip hop and R&B stars that we all looked up to, but you were able to bring the franglais, Montreal, Black Montreal, international Montreal, immigrant, all of that sauce and that flavor in those interviews. So can you tell me, what was your thought process when you were like, okay, I have to interview somebody that is a huge international star, but I have to relate it to my people, this province here, which is particular. Was that something that you built and that you prepared in your head as an interviewer? Or was it just like, I got this, I got the gift, you know what I'm saying? Jump on my back and let's do this. Like, what was your thought process when you were like, oh shit, I gotta interview Beyonce, I gotta interview this huge person and relate that to my people? How did you go about that?
No one ever taught me how to do interviews. I'm self-taught in terms of doing interviews, but I knew I had a certain swag, a certain charm, a certain charisma, and I knew how to make people feel comfortable. And I knew how to ask the right questions and the different questions. And I knew how to add in certain French words to ask them, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Just to pique their curiosity. You know what I mean? So I brought a lot of that Burgundy swag, you know what I mean? Because Burgundy people are very charming people, very special people. So I brought that Burgundy swag along with, natural charm. And when you look at my interviews, people felt very comfortable talking to me. And you felt like I knew them for a while. And I was able to get a lot of information that an average reporter or other reporters weren't able to get.
I'm just glad. You know what I'm saying? I have a segment sometimes with some of my artist friends that we call Free Game. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not even going to make a segment called Free Game, because just Malik is just giving me free game right now. It's just free game, and I'm just taking it in, and that's what I want to do. And especially when it comes to artists and musicians, because this podcast, I'm an artist interviewing other artists, and that's the thing. And they're all saying like, we feel comfortable around you because we know that we trust you with our stories, and we can say certain things that we may not be able to say something because we know that you're always going to be able to frame them. But like, that's me building relationships with people here. We're reaching out to each other, especially since the pandemic happened. Connections are being made, and that's why I'm like, there's a certain blessing out of this that maybe if it didn't happen, we wouldn't be connected, reaching out. But how did you establish a connection so fast? Like, okay, Wyclef, or no, say somebody you knew maybe a little less, you know what I'm saying? Like a Kanye or whatever would come in the building, and that's the first time that you encounter them. What would be your strategy to make that person feel comfortable? Because, dude, you see them, it's manager, publicist, go, come in and say, and they say in front of you, and you got like what, 0.5 seconds to make that person feel comfortable. Yeah. How you do that?
Honestly, just something natural about the way I make people feel comfortable. I really can't tell you what it is, but I make people feel comfortable, and people enjoy sitting down talking with me.
No doubt.
And I mean, that's from 50 Cent to Eminem to Jay-Z to DMX, rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man.
To Beyonce, Little Kim. You know what I mean? Redman, Method Man. There's so many of them. Ja Rule. Kanye West. You know what I mean? It's a long list, and I'm proud to say that I had an opportunity to interview those artists. Even like Booba, I Am,
Man.
Funky Family. You know what I mean? Les gros artistes de la France. It's crazy.
So were you like, with the whole franglais thing, forgive my ignorance, like I said, because I was fresh off the boat when I got here. When I saw you. So Music Plus being a francophone thing and these artists being in English, how did you navigate the language while still using terms that to make sure that everybody understands? Because that's something that I don't think any interviewer has done, really, in terms of being able to navigate hip-hop and R&B culture within two languages at the same time. Like, if you go to eTalk Daily or Vlad TV, or if you go to Europe or whatever, it's always this one languages thing. And you go to Switzerland and, Busta Rhymes speaks in Switzerland and there's a translator, you know what I mean? But you were, while still keeping your, like, I can only imagine how much was going on in your mind. How did you navigate linguistically, like, the situation?
I had certain terms that I would use. So I had certain expressions like, les mecs et les dames, dans le building, you know what I mean? On y va, let's go, les mains dans les airs, those kind of things. And hip-hop's a universal language. So because hip-hop is a universal language, there's certain words, keywords I would drop in interviews that even the francophone person en région banlieue, they would understand what I'm saying because it's hip-hop. And when I did my interviews with the English artists, I was speaking English to them, but when we aired the interviews, it was translated at the bottom in French.
Got it.
So that's how I was able to get away with, interviewing, English artists in English.
For sure, but at the same time, I still think it's just awesome because it's connecting. So even if there weren't subtitles, I think you had to do something a bit more and go above to connect things linguistically, to connect things culturally, to connect things racially, probably, you know what I'm saying, in all this ways. So yeah, man, that's something that I was watching, and for me that was a huge culture shock because I spoke French before getting here. I'm from West Africa, like I have French background and whatnot, and so when I got to Montreal, I was like, oh, Frenglish, okay, cool, bet. Like my house is the city, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm watching TV and I'm like, how they do that? Like, whoa, like this dude is ushering Kanye West, this dude's ushering 50 Cent in and making them feel comfortable while busting these words that, like, huh, what'd you say? Like, you know what I mean? But it's like everybody's comfy, man. That's dope. That's super dope.
You make them laugh a couple of times here and there, you know what I mean? So
right.
I didn't try to my interviews weren't stiff, you know what I mean? I just try to, be comfortable with it. But, the game has changed from then to now where those type of interviews, even though I can still do them, they're not appreciated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. No, the game has definitely changed for real.
Yeah.
No doubt. So speaking of, man, I need some storytelling, Malik. Like, I know you probably have a lot, but I want to know what some of your highlights have been as interviewing somebody. Is there a person that really surprised you that, you didn't think it was going to go down that way and it went down this way, whether it's for the best or for the worst? Was there a nightmarish story? Was there somebody who it was just the most intriguing interview and everybody told you, yo, that was the shit? Malik got the story we wanted that no other interviewer can get out. Like, talk to me about some of like your mixtapes, like highlights. If you had to make like a Malik Shaheed mixtape interviews, what would be in there?
Let's do a mixtape in 60 seconds. So my interview with Destiny's Child was turned up. I had those girls tripping. They were loving Malik. Little Kim flirting with Malik. You know what I mean? She loving the French. Eminem. Every outlet, media outlet, French, English, from Quebec was waiting for Eminem to be interviewed. Manager comes out, no one's interviewing Eminem. I told my cameraman, you wait right here. You ain't going nowhere. We're going to get that interview. Everyone leaves. It's just me and my cameraman. Malik, Eminem's ready for your interview. One of the first people in Canada to interview Eminem. 50 Cent. The interview was so dope. We connected so deep that Much Music confiscated my interview and aired it on their station because the interview was so dope with 50 Cent.
What you mean confiscated? How you confiscate an interview, Malik?
Listen, they called music and said, listen, send out Malik's interview because we need part of his interview for our 50 Cent special. That's how dope the interview was. You know what I mean? Master P. We flew down to New Orleans, private jet. You know how we do. We get there. Master P got us waiting for 12 hours for an interview. Master P got us waiting for 12 hours for an interview. But you know what? I waited. I did my interview with Master P. We did that interview. You know what I mean? We did the with Master P in New Orleans.
Shit, if he made me wait for 12 hours, I'd have been like, too.
Oh man, that was crazy.
But that's crazy. You flew down to NOLA to see Master P, man.
Flew down to NOLA. I mean, back then, you got to remember, music artists, labels are spending millions of dollars on interviews.
That's right. That's
you know
true.
what I mean? So the labels were like, they were sending limos to my house in the morning. I was going to the airport. I would go to New York, a limo waiting for me, drive me to the hotel, interview the artists. There might be an after party. If not, I fly right back home in 24 hours. You know, it was crazy. And my Ghostface interview was dope too, because it was he's so street, Ghostface.
Oh man,
he's so real.
He is so real.
It was a street interview, straight out of Burgundy.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like dope too.
That's beautiful.
My Barbie Digital interview with the RZA, that was a crazy interview too. I mean, there was a lot of beautiful interviews, man.
Wow.
It was
That's
crazy.
dope.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so like
Dr. Dre, New York.
how was Dr. Dre? Okay, so you went down to New York and Dr. Dre?
Yeah, Dr. Dre.
What year was that?
I can't remember what year it is, but you know.
As I'm saying, I'm like, you must have just such an archive.
Yeah, I can't remember what year, but you know, I met him twice. I met him once in New York and one once in Vancouver.
Okay, dope. And do you archive these interviews? Do you have them somewhere? Like when it comes to like,
I have them on these beta tapes. I got to transfer them.
dope. Yeah, hey. Man,
I'm trying to find a company that can transfer.
I'm just gonna say, man, like within the next few years, make sure because so I know some of these tapes sometimes something's gonna happen or whatever. Because this is history, Malik. This is huge, and I think someday, you know, I don't know. I hope some TV show, whatnot, or documentary on you gets it where we can really go through this footage and whatnot. Because you know, I don't know what the state of urban culture of urban radio and urban music, and if we hadn't had that.
Yeah.
So when you see like. So, like, how do you feel when, okay, let's take Master P for an example. Master P, when he was out at the time that you interviewed Problem, it was, No Limit was there, Silk the Shock was out, Mystical was out, he was being a super thing, and we had an understanding of who he was in the mogul, but the way we look at Master P today is not the way that we look at Master P back in the day. Master P now, in terms of the knowledge that he's spitting, the artist entrepreneur model that we're going to be speaking about later, you know what I'm saying? He, even as much, if not more so probably than Jay-Z, has had a huge impact on her. Like Solange Knowles talks about how speaking to Master P has changed her life and whatnot. And so what do you think about somebody like Master P or anybody when you see them now? Do you say to yourself, like, yo, when I interviewed this guy, I had no idea that this is what he would become? Or who has surprised you in terms of somebody that you've interviewed and who has gone on to do something that maybe you have expected or not expected?
So I knew when I interviewed Destiny's Child, I knew Beyonce was a star.
Yeah.
I saw her right away. She's a star. Master P, he was business back then, because back then every week I was getting the record labels giving me different albums from his artists. It was crazy.
It,
You
it
know what I
didn't
mean?
stop, man. He was just.
But he was a businessman. Like he had his distribution with Priority Records, and you saw that he was independent. So
Right.
for me, he was really one of the first ones that had that independent imprint and can say, you know what, you can go independent and you can make it, but you got to put your money where your mouth is.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I felt he was the first one in that era to really push that whole independent scene.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is now I'm kind of realizing that like you had a first row seat to that. So did you get a inkling of like when you went to New Orleans and you interviewed him, did you have an idea of, oh no, this is where Master P is going to be in 20 years? Like this is what he's going to do? Or was it just like, no, I mean, I knew he was going to be something, but I had no idea. Like,
I wasn't worried about him. I knew that he can navigate the storm and navigate the changes and be all right, because he was already independent. You know what I mean? He already had his other side hustles going on.
right. Exactly. No doubt. Is there a interview of somebody that you know who at the time you were like, yo, they're fantastic, and then they went into a direction where you're just like, oh, I didn't think you would go there. I'm kind of surprised, you know what I'm saying, even if it's better for the worse. Like, who has kind of surprised you or kind of caught you off guard of a star celebrity that may not have gone in the direction that you would have expected, you know what I mean? Especially knowing you as, you know, you see people, you walk in a room, you know, who say, yo, that person's an artist entrepreneur. That person is a thing. That person's going to do this. Beyonce's a star, da-da-da-da-da. Who kind of threw you off guard?
I think when I interviewed Ja Rule, he was on top of the world, man.
Wow.
He was on top of the world.
Oh, my God. I can imagine.
He was on top of the world. He was even higher than 50 when I interviewed him.
Yeah.
He was the hottest thing out. So for me, to see that he wasn't able to pivot off of that fame, it's sort of surprising, because he was so hot.
He really was.
I mean, he was like on fire.
Man, dude, it was 3 out of 5 songs on the radio he was him or featured on or something like that, man. No doubt.
Kanye, the Kanye you see on TV is the Kanye you see in person. He's the same. Yeah, he's the same.
The same
he's
thing?
Yeah, he's the same thing. He's the same thing. Kanye's the same person you see on TV. He's the same person you see in person. He's different. He's special. You can see he has a lot going on in his mind.
Right on.
He got a lot going on in his mind.
Yeah, man. He's
know what I mean?
definitely a visionary.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
give him that for sure.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
Another interview I really appreciated was a Diddy interview. So I'm interviewing Diddy now, and we're getting down, and the publicist says, you know, I mean, you got to wrap it up. Diddy says, no, continue. I love that one, because the interview was so dope. You know what I mean? Because I know I was bringing that Malik flavor and hyping him up, right?
That's what's up.
Because so in Burgundy we have something called we call it the psych up.
Okay.
In Little Burgundy, right?
Tell it.
So what I would do is I would take that whole psych up and psych the artists up. I would hype them up, gas them up, make them feel good, Burgundy style. They didn't know what was going on. But, you know, that's that down gown, stay guile.
Yeah, right.
You know, we got that swizzag.
Okay, because you know what I'm saying? Maybe off camera you're going to have to teach me that, because I'm in Burgundy, dog. But, you know, like I said, I didn't grow up there. So
Yeah,
you
no
want
matter, but you're downtown. You should know how to talk all that Takeoff.
I'm just saying, it's been a couple years, dog. You know what I'm saying? I need my OGs to ingratiate me. You know what I'm saying? No doubt.
Yeah, so I would always do the Burgundy psych up on artists.
That's up.
You know what I mean? Like I did the Burgundy psych up on Little Kim. She was loving it. Tried to give me her number. I said, "You ain't calling me.
What?
You ain't calling me. Give me you ain't calling me, Kim." I said, just like that. She laughed, but she knew. She's trying to hype Malik up. You can't hype up Burgundy.
Yo, I need these tapes, Malik. I need these tapes, man. I really want to see this, man. Oh my God, this is this is history, guys. Like, this is serious history. This guy's spitting.
I had
right
Little
now,
Kim
man.
spinning 360. I was doing a 360. She was loving it. I was talking that French to her. She didn't know what was hitting her.
She want that voulez-vous. She trying to get that
She was
voulez-vous.
loving that. You know what I mean? That's that Burgundy psych up, though.
Yeah, no doubt, though.
You know what I
No
mean?
doubt.
No, real. That's real talk. Like, people from Burgundy, they know what the Burgundy psych up is.
Burgundy psych up. Okay, man, I'm taking notes, man.
yeah.
But okay, that's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. So, like, you were in the center of hip hop R&B that was going on in America, North America, through Montreal and Quebec. And then you, sir, decided to make your own steps into music. And I believe you put out a record that's called Franglais.
L'album Franglais.
Please talk to us about that experience that you had and the importance of that in your career and the connections that you made, like, you know, between 2006 and 2007. I believe that album won a prize.
Yeah.
And you really, because from your work for Musique Plus mixed with that album, you were really like awarded as somebody who really advanced the culture of hip hop here in Quebec on multiple levels. Talk to us about like your venture into the music and being an artist.
Yeah. So for me, at the end of the day, I'm not a rapper, but I'm an entertainer. You know what I mean? You put me on stage, I could rock a crowd. You know what I mean? So that's an advantage I had. Plus, I had that true franglais American swag that a lot of people in that time, they didn't really have it. You know what I mean? They tried to do it, but at the end of the day, it didn't sound right. So I had that advantage. And for me, touring across Quebec with my DJ, I saw the need for me to do something different. I was bored at the time, and I also wanted an opportunity to improve my French. So, doing this album really forced me to really learn French at another level, and also it gave me more ammunition to go on tour now, right? So now I'm going on tour, the club tour, but now I have an album. So my formula was, I'm gonna go on, do 12 to 15 minutes set of my album, right? And then rock the crowd another 2 hours with the club hits.
Got it.
So that was my formula, and it worked. You know, I was touring across Quebec, and you can ask any artist, right? Even artists who had a lot more experience than me, my stage show was more exciting than them because I understood how to talk to the crowd. I would talk that talk, you know what I mean? And I wasn't there trying to sing the full length of my song.
Got it.
You know what I mean? I sang a chorus, I did one verse, I did a chorus, and boom, that was it. And before I started my song, I grabbed an American hype song, did 60 minutes, 60 seconds of hype, got into my song, and just extended that shit. You know what I mean? So like I understood how to rock a crowd. It was a party.
And man, and that's something that, you know, we really need to, because, you know, I think I spoke to you over the phone.
Yeah.
I told you, like, live show, that's what I do. That's like I've toured this country, I've toured this continent, you know what I'm saying? And so for me, more so than being a rapper, being an MC, a master of ceremonies is so important. And it's so cool. Thank you for like letting us into that insight about actually what the formula was, how you did certain thing, because that's something I find that is missing today. And this is going to be a perfect segue, because we're going to talk about a little bit of some of the music that's happening today, the good and the bad and whatnot, and all of it together, you know. But for me today, that's something that I find that's lacking. We have a lot of basement artists and basement producers, and, you know, you could never leave your basement and possibly win a Grammy. Like that, you know, when you put out Franglais, that was not the case. You know what I'm saying? You had to had hours into your craft, and you had to know the studios and know the engineers and know the A&Rs and know all these people and whatnot. But, you know, that's now it's quick as do it yourself. So now I'm finding myself that, okay, cool. People are making records, people are doing their thing and whatnot. And yo, I'm on Spotify. Everybody share me, Spotify Wrapped. I got my streams. I'm on this playlist and cool. Yo, you got your streams up? Cool, cool, cool. Yo, you get booked for a show. Boom. You come and see the artist get booked for a show. You get to the show and you're like, ooh, child, you have never rocked a crowd in your life. This is not the cafeteria talent show, my friend. And yo, man, it boggles me, because me, like, well, I'm like, I call myself an OG millennial. You know what I'm saying? Like, where the stage still mattered, and that's how we got our bones. And a lot of people I'm seeing are like doing dope records, but that's what I find that's lacking. The lack of showmanship, the lack of master of ceremonies, the lack of a show being organized. Like even the way that you said it, I did my song, I would come in, I would hype, I would do the chorus, I would do a verse, chorus, American hype song, break it up, okay, another original. You had this shit planned out in your head while still being reactive to the crowd. If somebody did something, be like, boom, react off of that shit. Make it hype and whatnot. And we losing that, man. And we really losing it. And now with the COVID too, because ain't nobody been in the club and nobody's doing the live shows. That's what that's my biggest fear right now. We gonna lose live performance. We gonna lose it. And like you say, you don't need to be, you know what I'm saying, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Biggie, or Eminem to be able to do it, but you can still get in front of a stage and rock a crowd, yo. So thank you for saying that. I think that's something that people can really, really learn from. You know what I'm saying? Take your craft and understand how to become an entertainer with it and to move people. Because that's what we're trying to do at the end of the day. We're just trying to connect and move people. When they went home, they're like, yo, Malik rocked my world, yo. Like, I had fun, man. He really made me wild out and made me forget about my stresses and my trouble and whatnot. Next time he comes to town, I'll be there. So that's what's up. So, okay. So let's fast forward to today. I got a serious question for you. It's going to be a little loaded. We're going to talk about Canadian R&B and where we are today. So Canadian R&B is on the rise internationally. Everybody's saying that, yo, so many cool artists, be it Drake and Weeknd, you know, Daniel Caesar, Alicia Cara, you know what I mean? Canada's out here. We're doing stuff. And there are a lot of things that are pointing that they're saying that, okay, Montreal got next. OK Players put out at least 3 articles saying that Montreal got next in terms of R&B. However, us who live here, we understand that it's a little different. It's a bit of a phenomenon of the situation, and you know what I'm saying, that what it is. And the fact is, I always say it on the podcast, is that the category of R&B does not exist in Quebec. I believe so. Be it award shows, be it whatnot. What are your thoughts on the state of R&B itself, like nationally, in the province of Quebec, and in Montreal? Because those 3 things are very different. And somebody who has seen this for 2 decades plus, and the evolution of it throughout Montreal, throughout Quebec, throughout Canada, and North America, I would love to get your thoughts on what you think the state of R&B is in Canada and like Montreal and Quebec as well too.
I mean, it's at a next level. From Calgary to Toronto to Vancouver to Montreal, there's great R&B artists. Toronto right now is killing it because they have the light on them. There's a lot of talent in Montreal, but I just find that the artists need to work together more. You know what I mean? Work together more, do more collabs, use each other's networks, followings to just build more of an appreciation and more of a connaissance qui exists. You know what I mean? The problem with Montreal is that we don't like working with each other, and we don't like supporting each other. We don't like giving each other their fair dues, their fair props. We don't like putting each other on a pedestal, even though they deserve to be on a pedestal. And I find that still holding us back in terms of putting Montreal on the map. There's some great talent out here, but at the end of the day, what they lack is consistency. So when I say consistency, is that they'll drop a song and then drop a song 3 to 4, 5 months, 6 months later. People forgot about you. If you want to be in this game, one, you got to drop a song between 45 days to 60 days. Then you got to be able to put your own marketing dollars behind that song.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Instead of just trying to rely on the algorithm giving you, launching into space. Like, people have to understand that you have to be able to put your own money into you have to invest into your craft.
Yeah.
You have to invest in your brand.
Yeah.
And more importantly is understand that before you release a song, make sure you have 5 to 10 songs, hits, ready to go.
Yeah, backed up.
You know what I mean? So when that song is at its 45th or 60th day, you're ready to put out the other song. And make sure you have a cool visualizer or video to go with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Make sure that your great music reflects your brand. Make sure your swag is right. Make sure the way you dress is right. Make sure that when people hear your music on Spotify or Apple or Tidal or Amazon, and then they see your image, it matches. You know what I mean? A lot of times, I always have artists inbox me, ask me for advice and tips. And a lot of times I look at their Instagram and I'll tell them that you have to be able to sell an illusion. If you want to be in this game, people got to believe that you are a superstar. You are a mega star. So your pictures, your videos have to match that.
Yeah.
And that's what's lacking here is a consistency of putting out music and then making sure that you have cool marketing techniques, promotional techniques, visuals that go with the music.
No doubt. No doubt. And like, I wanted to see what your thoughts are about this because I want to get back to like kind of the support. You know what I'm saying? And the lack of that. Because this is something that, in the podcast I've heard multiple people kind of say. And, somewhere else, there's two things. There's the external forces, which is being an artist in Quebec, being a black artist in Quebec, or from doing black music in Quebec, especially that may not be in French, or even if it is in French, you know what I'm saying? If it comes from, a racialized or marginalized community, there will be obstacles innately, just like in many places in the world when you're black, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. But because of language and because of other these things and whatnot, this is what I think. This is my theory. I think that there's some artists here because of, hey, there's only so much radio spots. There's only so many places at these shows. Quebec doesn't care about us necessarily. So there isn't enough for everybody. So if one person succeed, then that means that that's my failure or my detriment. Instead of being like, nah, if this person succeeds, then we all succeed and we all push it together. And I find that it's a scarcity mentality because everybody is like hoarding their resources. Oh my God, we're in this oppress. It's PTSD from like being like, black in Quebec and doing all these type of things or whatever. But it's affecting us in a bad way because, we're not behind each other and supporting each other and creating a hub. What are your thoughts on that? Like in terms of, do you think that that's an accurate assessment of why there may be a lack of support or crabs in a barrel type of mentality when it comes to like some of the artists here?
I mean, you look at a guy like K Tronada. He didn't have the media support before he blew up, right? He didn't have much local support. He had a certain segment of the population that digged him, but he didn't have that full Quebec, Montreal backing.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, he took his craft and went to the States where he's appreciated, did what he had to do and blew up. There's no excuse nowadays. You have the internet. You have social media, right? So one of the things I always tell artists is connect with an artist who's at the same level as you in a different country, in a different continent. Do a collab with that artist.
Free game.
You know what I mean? And start blowing up and getting their followings to appreciate you because they're going to appreciate you more than your local is going to appreciate you, which is a sad thing.
Yeah.
There's so much talent here, great talent, but we don't want to appreciate them because, they're from the local, they're from Montreal.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's ways to get around. You have social media now. There's no excuse. You could boost your videos. You could choose where you want your video to be boosted and be seen. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it costs money.
Yeah.
It costs money, and you got to be willing, if you believe in your brand, right, to invest in yourself, right? Malik don't ask for handouts, right? Malik invested in his brand. Today, Malik still invests in his brand. You know what I mean? So you have to have that mentality that if you have hot songs, you don't have no money to put them out, don't put them out until you have that money to properly back that music. Because what's going to happen is, and I've seen artists go and spend all this money on videos, but then don't have the money to promote the video properly.
Yep.
And you gotta have to have a strategic plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you don't always have to rely on the record label, the manager. You just have to stop being lazy or having this mentality that people have to do for you and do for self.
And this is where, I find that we had this great discussion on, maybe it was with you, but yeah, like on Clubhouse, we had a fantastic discussion, and we talked about the artist entrepreneur model, which is, you know, the do for self. Yes. And you know what I mean? And me, what kind of baffles me too, where I find that, you know, we kind of get like lulled to sleep, and you know, and it was recent where I've been like, hold up, this is not making sense. Like labels here, as well as artists, I say, are on the titty of the Canadian government.
Yeah. We're lucky to get those grants.
And we're lucky to get those grants. And somewhere I understand, because even if you look at it demographically, Malik, the number of people that consume that type of content in Canada is not enough to sustain a career. That's why big labels need subsidies. That's why even artists, independent, all that type need subsidies. But somewhere it lulls us to sleep because, like you say, you know, you were like, Malik ain't got no handouts, so I ain't waiting for no handouts and whatnot. So why is there not more Nipsey Hussle mentality? Why is there not more of an artist entrepreneur? Why does that model not exist here, but we see it in other places? Do you think that there's like a reason for it, or do you think that it's just like, okay, even if there's a reason for it, we got to get over that shit? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because this is my conclusion. Like, I'm like, the artist entrepreneur model does not exist here.
And just in general in life here, we're spoiled here.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you look in the U.S., when the whole pandemic was going through, they weren't getting no checks. You know what I mean? The government was giving us CERB.
Fam, you know I'm from the U.S. You know I'm from. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, Malik.
Tell me.
You know.
Tell me.
Can I tell you?
Tell me.
You know,
I
was sitting there. I was just like, you know, I always thought about it. I was like, Fredy, what would you do if they asked you to sing the American national anthem? I'd be like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about that. What would you do if they asked you to sing the Canadian national anthem? Okay. Pandemic hit. I was in the middle of a TV show, episode 4. We had 22 episodes slated. They canceled the whole shit. I said, Lord have mercy. I got babies to feed, Malik. I got babies to feed. I said, what am I going to do? I'm American. I don't rely on the government like that. I don't trust the government. I'm American. So I said, no, I'm Canadian now. So I go online. I go, CERB. What is this CERB? I go for it. I follow. I call. I put my number. Whatever. Malik, 48 hours later, I looked at my bank account. I said, oh, Canada, our home and native. What key you want me to sing? You want a baritone? You want a tenor? You want a polka version? I will sing the Canadian national anthem because the way that CERB hit. When that direct deposit hit, Malik, I was like, God damn. I said, we spoiled. We spoiled in Canada. Yeah. I even been telling my boys and my musicians, I'm like, don't get comfortable with the stimulus now. You call a number 48 hours, that money is deposited. That is putting your hustle to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you said, man, I agree fully. We are spoiled, man.
We're spoiled. So, you know what I mean? And me, growing up in Burgundy, I grew up in an environment where I was surrounded with a lot of hustlers, right? And I just decided to take that hustle in a different direction. So I was always able to have that hustle mentality. Mm-hmm. So this is why I survived so long at Music Plus, because I wasn't sitting around waiting for them to tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. I was creating different things. I was creating my own tours. I created my own album. I created the tour against alcohol and drugs.
Wow.
I did the stay in school tours. I was going into schools talking to kids. You know, I was just doing all this extra stuff that benefited the Music Plus brand, right, that they were unable to do because they didn't have that knowledge or experience that I had. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of times it's just being able to understand what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and being able to exploit your strengths and pivot in a different area. Yeah. So, you know, I love hosting, right? So what I do now is I take that hosting and I go to schools and I do anti-bullying shows where I talk about anti-bullying, but I still bring that Malik magic and energy, you know, to the shows. Like I did from January 1st to April 6th, I did over 30 shows on Zoom for Black History and for anti-bullying.
Wow.
No excuses. But we hustle those shows, right?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't sit there waiting for calls. I make the call. And that's the problem. A lot of people, they want to sit there and wait for calls. No, Malik's making that call. I'm calling you, right? Like a lot of people think, you think Virgin knocked at my door? I knocked at Virgin's door.
Word.
I put that letter together.
Tell it.
Sent that letter in. Sent the email. Made a phone call. Spoke. They like my energy. We're gonna try you out, Malik. And here I am. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to not be afraid to knock at that door. The worst I can say is no.
No.
No. Okay, no problem. We'll go on to the next one.
It's great, man. And thank you, because I was gonna go into Virgin. You was gonna make that segue, and see, that's a professional right there. The dude is making his own segues for this is my shit, and he out here making segues on my shit. Damn, you good. But yo, like, I was in a spot a few years ago, and this is where I started understanding that being in Montreal, that I was spoiled, and that there's certain scarcity mentalities that don't serve me anymore. And it's like, I feel like I call it artist PTSD. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got some shit to work out because we've been through some things and whatnot. And there's certain mentalities that don't serve us, that we have to kind of have some growth and personal development to get to that next place. And I'll never forget when I knew that I was in that rut. My mentor, Mr. Alan Prater. You know what I'm saying?
What up, Al?
What up, Alan? He was just here earlier, man. And so we talking. So what up, nephew? So what's going on, nephew? What's you recording an album? Just asking how I can be of service. And yeah, man. And I don't know, uncle. I got this, and I got the studio, but I don't know if I could pay it and the bills. And I'm looking for this opportunity, but they're not fucking with me. And woe is me, and woe is me, and woe is me, right? And then I was talking to him about all my obstacles. And then he was just like, okay, so you need to record something? He was like, well, why don't you call these dudes over there? He's like, didn't you go on tour with them in Europe? Didn't you save their ass? Didn't you do something fantastic? Didn't you give him a deal on the record when you did vocal arrangements with him? They have studios and whatever. Think I'm sad. They love you. They got your back. What's the worst that they can say? No? Pick up the phone and call. What else you need? This person's over here. He's in your phone. Just pick up and call the phone. What a problem, Freddie? What a problem? And he just said that, and I was like, damn. Like, I feel like a biscuit right now, because I was so in my shit, and I gotta do this, I gotta do it on my own, and I gotta prove people wrong, and rah, 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 and all this shit in my head and whatnot. But I'm just tasting my own tail, and I'm cutting off my nose despite my face. And what did I do? I picked up the phone and I called. Yeah. And this thing started unblocking. And I got a no problem. I went to the next one. And that's it. But it's so funny that, it seems like something simple. But man, a lot of people need to hear that, because they won't pick up the phone. They will literally sit there and bitch in their corner and be like, woe is me, but have done nothing. You know what I'm saying? Even all religious, in all religious form, they say, si tu prends un pas envers Dieu, il va prendre un pas envers toi. Make that step. Take that first step, and somebody will make a step towards you. But if you ain't making a step for yourself, who the fuck is gonna care, man? Yeah. And so just to hear you being like, yo, Malik Shaheed, he's at Virgin Radio. Oh, he's been doing this thing. And it's because he was on Musique Plus. No, I started in the fucking research room at Musique Plus. Yeah, or Virgin Radio, whatever. I'm the one who called them. Thank you for saying that, because not a lot of people would admit to and show the come up and show how they got to these positions, to say that I did this so you can fucking do it too. You know what I'm saying? And if Malik Shaheed, who has a 20-year resume of whatever, can pick up the phone and fucking call somebody, then you, who ain't done shit yet, should be fucking able to do the same fucking thing. Let's go, y'all. Let's go. This is the type of spirit. This is the type of go-getter entrepreneurship. If one door closes, another one will open. It's fine. And let's start riding for each other in that way. Thank you, dog. I'm sorry I got emotional. My bad.
There's nothing wrong, people, with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with asking someone to mentor you. There's nothing wrong with building partnerships. You know what I mean? So people have to set aside their pride and go beyond that.
My man. So speaking of advice and phone calls and mentorship and whatnot. Say you, I don't know, we're sitting in front of a charismatic, debonair, young black gentleman who has aspirations of entering the world of media and in entertainment, and especially within black culture, in this very special place that's called Montreal, Quebec, and being international. What advice would you give this mysterious person who has aspirations of, possibly jumping into that?
Into that game.
I don't know who this person could be, but
Just realize that there's old media and new media, and being really able to figure out how you fit in this whole new realm, right? At the end of the day, Netflix needs content, Amazon needs content, Canadian television needs content, French television needs content. But can you bring something unique to the table, right? So today you got to be able to produce your own content. You got to be able to be creative and write your own content. And then you could take that and team up with a production house, right? Shop your stuff to a production house. The beauty, again, these production houses have access to grants.
Got it.
You understand? So that's one way you can do it. Or you can create your own buzz on the internet, and you can create a buzz that's so hot that you can go to a Complex, or you can go to a Vice magazine and, work with these people. But at the end of the day, the days of you being a great talent and we're going to put you on the show, it happens, but it doesn't happen anymore. You really got to create your own lane.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I will be sure to pass that message on to that said aspiring person who has aspirations of getting into the media.
No, but you know what? You're doing it right now, right?
Yeah.
No one's giving you money, right?
Tell it.
You're investing in yourself and believing in what you're doing, and you're gonna learn as you go. And by learning as you're gonna go, your show's gonna get better. You're gonna make tweaks, and you're gonna make it and refine it to the point where someone's gonna be willing to pick it up. You know what I mean? The hard thing today is being able to produce and market. It's very tough.
Amen.
So you got to be able to balance that. Have a team around you to help you. Have a partner. You know what I mean? Or partners, and split up the task.
Exactly.
Because it's very hard to focus on the production and then try to market and promote it. It's not that easy.
Oh my God. That right there is gold, because that's something that I lived through recently and I'm going to go ahead and shout them out. It's a creative marketing and design company called C5. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to Miro. And
Yeah, shout out to them. They're doing their thing.
they're doing their thing. And one of the biggest game changers in my career was to separate myself from production and marketing and to draw that line and to understand that me as a producer, that if I'm the one who's controlling the complete marketing, that's not an objective perspective. I need an outside perspective to be able to look at me objectively and say, here's what's best. Here's where your strengths, here are your weaknesses, here's what you put in front. Here are how people perceive you, because it's hard for you to see that in yourself. And when I separated myself and I got black people and black women to take a campaign and do it, that's when everything started to change. So if that, I find that is a really huge thing, to be like being a producer and a marketer like that. He just gave me jewels and free game for media personality and all that, but that applies to music as well too. Yeah. If you're producing your music and you're all hands-on in your music or whatever, outsource and see if you can get somebody that's a creative marketing or whatever who can give, because they're going to give you that unique perspective that you can't get because you're too tied to your project. You're too attached to it. You know what I'm saying? To have an objective, actual perspective on what certain rollouts should be. So that right there was free game for music. That was free game for media. Thank you for that.
Yeah, shout out to Miro and Ashley. They're doing their thing. You know what I mean? They ain't sitting around.
They ain't sitting around at all.
They out there doing being go-getters and hustling.
Yeah, man. No, for sure.
Making it happen.
Yep. And that's that type of energy that we need. in front of the camera, behind the camera, as creatives for the culture and whatnot. And so, and especially for, you know, as I said, what we can do to kind of lift, you know, because I'm here for R&B and hip hop and kind of black music that comes from here, you know, that's something that we can do ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Support each other more, get behind and share some of these resources. So ladies and gentlemen, if you guys do not know about C5, go check them out. Fantastic creative marketing agencies, and I'm sure there are plenty others in the city that we can all get behind and actually, you know, take our art, take our culture, take our stories, control them, own them, and be able to market them. And this is what this is all about. This is what Gimme the Check is all about. It's about that entrepreneurship and, you know, and getting that check, baby, and making it and not waiting for it, but just making it, you know what I mean? Malik, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming out. Like, this is my first podcast. This is my real, like, I bet it on myself. And the day that I bet on myself, one of the most groundbreaking interviewers of the province said, I got you, bro. I'll be there for you. I see what you're doing. I see your passion, and I see that you're doing the right thing. And like you said, you're going to learn along the way, and you're going to do a thing. And just to have that support, it means the world. Artists are coming through here in the artist space, and they know what I've do. They know that I've put in work in this city. Motherfuckers know what I've done in this city, that I put in work. You know what I mean? But for you to be like, yo, I see what you're doing, and this is a great initiative. And so I do not take this lightly, sir. And thank you for everything that you've done for the culture, for the city, for this province, for the country. I see what you do with kids. I see what you're doing for Little Burgundy and the NCC. Like, that touches my heart. Let's revive the NCC. Ladies and gentlemen, revive the NCC. And I just wish you the best, bro. Much love, much health, because that's the most important thing. And if you're healthy, you're going to be wealthy, dog. That's for damn sure. I believe that. So thank you so much for coming through, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and love your passion. And like I said, we're here to support you.
Respect.
You know what I mean? And anyone listening right now, if you want advice, hit me up on my social media.
Man, the doors are open, ladies and gentlemen. We're out here. We're opening the dialogue. Don't be afraid to knock on that door. Don't be afraid to knock on that door, because I knocked on that door and he opened. I appreciate it. My name is Fredy V. This is Malik Shaheed. You have joined the Gimme the Check podcast. Stay blessed and highly favored. We out.